Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a 12-team PPR mock draft from the second overall spot using FantasyPros Draft Wizard. The roster positions for today's mock are 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 flex spots, a kicker, defense, and 5 bench spots. In today's mock, we're going to be drafting up against the ESPN ADP, so it's going to be like we're drafting over on ESPN. But before we can get on into today's mock draft, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, to make sure that you smash that subscribe button. Whether you are new to the channel or not, make sure you guys leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFantasy. If you guys would like access to my PPR rankings and cheat sheet, they're available in the video description or in the pinned comment on Patreon for $7.50. So without further ado, let's get into this 12-team PPR mock draft from the second overall spot. So if you know you're drafting from the second overall spot, it is basically a guarantee that Christian McCaffrey will go at the 101. If he doesn't, by the grace of the fantasy football gods, the person at the 101 is nervous about Christian McCaffrey due to the minor injury, then you would instantly slam in the Christian McCaffrey pick, Giannis Antetokounmpo style. So Christian McCaffrey should be the 101 in your draft. If for some reason he doesn't get picked at the 101, he would be an instant click at the 1.02. At the 102, it is a debate between CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill dealing with a minor hand injury. Not something I'm worrying about all that much, just like the Christian McCaffrey injury, but these are things you want to monitor. For instance, if you're doing your draft on Labor Day and it gets to Labor Day and Hill isn't practicing or Christian McCaffrey aren't practicing, then there's reasons to worry. But as of right now, I'm not panicking about either of them. CeeDee Lamb currently dealing with the contract dispute. I don't know why Jerry Jones won't just give the guy the money that he deserves. I feel like he's basically just fondling with CeeDee's nuts, and eventually they will end up coming to a conclusion and CeeDee Lamb will have his contract. I don't really see CeeDee Lamb holding out for the whole season. So if you want Tyreek or you want CeeDee, these are the two guys I would be in between here. Pause. Personally, I would go with Tyreek Hill. But again, if you like CeeDee Lamb better, you can do that as well. Tyreek Hill, I think, would have been the wide receiver one last year had he have not gotten hurt. Once he returned, sure, he was still putting up solid numbers, but he wasn't the same guy that he was earlier on in the season. The upside for Tyreek Hill is significant every single week, but you can make the exact same argument for CeeDee Lamb. These are two of the best wide receivers in the National Football League, and they are both, in my opinion, very safe picks as of right now. After CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kyron Williams, Derrick Henry, Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Etienne, Travis Kelce, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Devontae Adams. If I started my draft at the 104 with Breece Hall and Marvin Harrison Jr., the commissioner might as well just hand me my fucking check. I would be walking directly to the bank to cash that, because that is a start that should be impossible. Marvin Harrison Jr. should go at the beginning of the second round, but due to the run at the running back position, they were able to get him at the 209. I would be absolutely bricked up if I had Breece Hall and Marvin Harrison Jr. fell to me. Travis Kelce already gone, the first of the onesie position players. So all the quarterbacks still available, and Sam Laporta and the other tight ends not named Travis Kelce are available. So right now, we have Tyreek Hill on the team. Technically, there's a slight injury concern, but again, I am not all that worried. Look at running back Devon Achane, Rachaad White, Alvin Kamara, James Cook. At wide receiver, Drake London, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman, Mike Evans. All the quarterbacks and all the tight ends are available. So the 101 took Christian McCaffrey. Probable that they could end up double tapping the wide receiver position here. Ultimately, I am not too sure if they are going to do that or not. Now, a quick answer to this question that a lot of people are going to have: are you comfortable drafting Devon Achane, Devon 2 Chains, and Tyreek on the same team this early on? I would be fine doing it. Now, am I looking to stack 2 Dolphins players on my team Right off the rip of my draft, the answer to that would be no, but I would be fine doing it since the Dolphins are a great offense. If you were like, hey, should I draft Devin Singletary and Malik Neighbors to get the Giants stack? The answer to that would be a resounding fuck no, baby. You don't really want to be stacking up players on bad teams. So here, we're just going to let the number 1 pick determine it for us. Will Achane fall to us or will he not? So now we're just going to go with Drizzy Drake London. Now, Drake London is a guy that a lot of people would be hesitant to draft because Drake London definitely really didn't have all that great of a season in 2023. He was bogged down by the quarterback play, by the coaching, but I truly do believe that the quarterback situation will be better with Kirk Cousins, and even if Kirk Cousins got hurt, they got Michael Penix. So I think that Drake London is going to show out this season, and in the late second, the early third round, I would definitely be in favor of getting Drake London due to his skill set and due to the fact that I feel like the offense is just going to be significantly better, thus boosting his value. After Drake London, Pat Mahomes, Kermit the Frog himself, followed by Michael Pittman. So the number 1 overall team made our decision for us. Devon Achane is the highest ranked running back I have on the board right now. And while it might feel gross on paper to draft 2 players from the same exact team within the top 3 picks, Devon Achane has that upside to be the number 1 running back. People will be nervous to draft him because we didn't see that heavy of a workload last year and because the guy was so dominant with the amount of touches that he got. He was uber efficient, and people worry that with more touches, the efficiency will drop. So even if the efficiency drops slightly and he's able to see more touches, this is a guy that has running back 1 potential. The speed is unreal. His pass catching upside is incredibly solid. He's the better pass catching running back of the 2 Raheem Mostert. His number 2 running back, Raheem Mostert, is not going to fully disappear, but Raheem Mostert is as old as they get and one of the most injury-prone running backs in the National Football League. Now, I personally hope Raheem Mostert stays healthy. Knock on wood, we don't root for injuries because I'm a big fan of Mostert at ADP, but Achane's upside in this offense is significant, and one of the best ways to figure out when a running back is going to break out is in year number 2. Year number 2, getting more touches, a bigger piece of the pie in the offense. I believe Devon Achane is a fine running back 1 for your team, and I would be ecstatic if I got him in the 3rd round, just like I would be ecstatic if Etienne, Pacheco, Henry fell to me in that range. Now, if it was between Achane and, if Achane wasn't there and it was just James Cook, Joe Mixon, I might have ended up waiting at the running back position. So after Achane, Josh Allen, Joe Mixon, Sam Laporta, Jalen Hurts, Mike Evans, James Cook, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Lamar Jackson, Rashad White, Josh Jacobs, DK Metcalf, Brandon Ayuk, Alvin Kamara, Mark Andrews, CJ Stroud, Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle. I also would have been fine there selecting Josh Jacobs. So if you're not someone that is super heavy into drafting 2 guys on the same team that early, which is fine, then Josh Jacobs would have been the pick there. At wide receiver, DJ Moore, Wiki, Malik Neighbors, Amari Cooper, all still available. Now, the question here is, do we want to go with the safer pick or go with the more risky pick? But to be honest with you, in my opinion, both of these picks have very similar upside as top 12 wide receivers, but one of them is safer than the other, and that is DJ Moore. I get that Fat Keenan Allen is some competition in Roma Dunze, but the team just whipped out the checkbook to pay DJ Moore. This team had DJ Moore fisting defenses last season with Justin Fields and Tyson Bagent. So I think with Caleb Williams under center, DJ Moore is going to be the all reliable in this offense, and he is going to be slinging out back shots game in and game out like the hash slinging slasher. So I'm going to go with DJ Moore, and I am as high as it gets on DJ Moore. He is ranked inside of my top 14 wide receivers, and typically you can get him sometimes as the wide receiver 20, the wide receiver 22. So DJ Moore to me is an absolute steal at the end of the 4th round. His ESPN ADP is pick 47, so it's definitely possible because we're at pick 47 right now. If you might be thinking, Nick, that's impossible to get him in this range, then you can go ahead and draft Malik Neighbors or Amari Cooper at this pick. If I didn't want to go wide receiver, though, here, the pick would probably be a tight end, being Trey McBride, since the team in front of me already has Patrick Mahomes. Again, we talk about this in a lot of the mock draft videos, but you need to be utilizing the draft board. And if your league doesn't have a draft board, you need to click on the teams around you to figure out what they have. Because if you want a quarterback here at the 411, there is no need to do it because the team in front of you already has a quarterback. So we're going to go with Wiki DJ Moore here. Again, I really do believe this guy has top 10, top 5 upside, paired with Tyreek Hill, Drake London, and DJ Moore. That is a chef's kiss Manufweek pick after DJ Moore, Kenneth Walker, and Trey McBride. While I'm a big fan of Trey McBride, I'm kind of glad he didn't fall our way because we have been taking Trey McBride in a ton of mock drafts recently. Now, something I have figured out about fantasy football drafts, as I've done so many, is that before we get to pick again at pick 6.11, there is going to be a quarterback and tight end monsoon. That is the best way to describe it. A run at an incredibly quick rate. Now I get Kelsey, Laporta, Andrews, McBride all off the board, but the next grouping of Pitts, Kincaid, Ingram, Kittle, those guys could very well all be gone by the time we get to pick in the 6th round. And the quarterbacks of Anthony Richardson, Kyler Murray, I know for sure they're going to be gone. And more than likely, Joe Shiesty and Dickie Dak Prescott might be gone as well. So if you wanted one of the quarterbacks or the tight ends in this range, it is unlikely that they fall back to you. Now, again, anything is possible because in some leagues, the quarterbacks are taken at a more conservative rate, or maybe in your league, the tight ends are taken at a more conservative rate. But I know one thing about fantasy football players, and that is that they absolutely love to do one thing, and that is panic. The shit starts to run down their leg, and they start to get incredibly nervous. Oh my God, I don't have my quarterback. I don't have my tight end, and they will panic, and you will see a quarterback and tight end run happen. Now that I say this, no quarterbacks or no tight ends will go in this mock draft for zero fucking reason, but I know for sure it's going to happen. It happens in every single draft. So you want the elite quarterback, you want the elite tight end, you would have to take them at this spot. Now, I guess I wouldn't consider Kincaid, Pitts, Kittle to be in the quote-unquote elite tier with McBride, with Kelsey, and with Laporta, but those are guys with elite upside. It's the same thing with Anthony Richardson, right? He's not in that same tier as the Mahomes, the Lamar, the Josh Allen, the Hurts, but they are guys with that elite upside. Here, since it is a double flex league, I am definitely considering taking a wide receiver. Running backs here, you're kind of in the dead zone at the running back position. I like Aaron Jones. I like Zamir White. But again, maybe one of those guys could end up falling back to me. Probably not. But maybe. I also feel confident in taking running backs a little bit later. So I'm just going to go ahead and get the quarterback that I love, and that is Anthony Richardson. Now, Anthony Richardson's a guy with a lot of question marks. For one, will he be able to play for the whole season without getting hurt and knocked out definitively? Last season, though, it was very evident that the upside is there. This is a guy that can rip off I have a fucking lisp for some reason, like a Mike Tyson, bite your ear off, and that was a terrible Mike Tyson accent, by the way, or impersonation, impression, whatever the fuck you want to say. But Anthony Richardson, top 3, top 1, numero uno quarterback upside, in my opinion. His accuracy, questionable. His ability to throw the ball in short range is kind of questionable, but he has that deep down the field threats. He has solid wide receivers, and his rushing upside is immaculate. So I'm taking Anthony Richardson here. And of course, after I said that, there was going to be some type of crazy quarterback fucking monsoon and a tight end monsoon. It doesn't even end up happening. So we could have gotten Kyler at the 6'11 and gotten a wide receiver here. But again, you can't necessarily read your draft room's mind every single time. I have done so many of these drafts. I felt like I have a good grip, pause on these drafts, or grasp, I guess, firmly grasp it. Shout out SpongeBob again. So I am fine taking that shot after Richardson, James Conner, George Kittle, Joe Burrow, Aaron Jones, Malik Neighbors, Zay Flowers, Dalton Kincaid, Evan Ingram, Tank Dell, Calvin Ridley, Tee Higgins, George Pickens, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Ramondre Stevenson, Rashi Rice, who is just blazing up boards. He's going to be a 4th round pick unanimously by next week. I can almost guarantee it. DeAndre Swift, Dave Montgomery, Zamir White. So the running backs looking a little bit suspect here. Pitts, still available to us. Pitts' ADP over on ESPN is pick 60. But his fall to pick 71 isn't all that crazy because there are going to be a lot of people that drafted Pitts last season and don't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole, even though I think that would be a very, very bad decision because I project the Atlanta Falcons offense to take a humongous leap up this year. So we're going to end up going with a wide receiver here and then probably drafting a running back. Christian Kirk is banged up. I'm not really too worried about that. Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, Jaden Reed. We're going to go with Christian Kirk here. I really do believe Christian Kirk will be the wide receiver number 1 in Jacksonville. I also like the pick of Brian Thomas Jr. a little bit later, but if I do take Kirk here, I want to end up taking bdge later. I think that Christian Kirk is a guy that can win you your league. He won you your league a couple of years ago when he wasn't a Jacksonville Jaguar, and I think he has that upside again. This is a guy that could dominate the touches on a Jaguars offense that should be very solid, just like last season until they ultimately just completely and utterly combusted. But I think Christian Kirk is a guy with a ton of upside to get in the 6th or in the 7th round. After we went ahead and drafted Christian Kirk, we see Terry McLaurin and Jaden Riley Reed. So we are going to be able to get a running back here. Najee Harris feels like a better pick now than he did a couple of weeks ago due to the injury of Jaylen Warren. Now, Jaylen Warren 100% could be healthy, good to go in week number 1, but we know how hamstring injuries could be. It could linger. He could come back week 1, re-aggravate that bitch, and he's out, or maybe the team isn't fully confident in rolling him out there with a gazillion touches in week 1, so they kind of ease him in, use the just the tip technique, or maybe he just misses the first couple of weeks of the season. There have been a lot of positive reports about Najee Harris. Now, if I'm being honest with you, I really do think that Jaylen Warren's the better running back compared to Najee Harris, but it really doesn't seem like the team ever thinks that, and Najee Harris will probably be the clear lead back in this backfield. If you're not super confident in Najee Harris, I get it, neither really am I, but that is why you can draft some more running backs later, right? Your whole draft doesn't end after the 7th round when you select Najee Harris. After Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson, Brian Robinson Jr., Christian Watson, Jonathan Brooks, JSN, Jaylen Warren, Xavier Worthy, Raheem Mostert, DeAndre Hopkins, Kyle Pitts. If you guys have enjoyed this video, that's the end of the 7th round. Hit that like button down below if you're new. Whether you are new to the channel or not, hit that subscribe button. Dickie Dak Prescott, Roma Dunze, Cleveland Browns, Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, Keon Coleman, Tony Pollard, Javonte Williams, Big Cock Brock Purdy, and Cortland Sutton. If I got Kyler Murray in the 8th round, I would be jumping for fucking joy. Yippee! I'd be so excited. I don't even know if that's possible. That's probably never going to happen in your at-home league unless your league mates are against short people, right? They're afraid of midgets or something. Like when they see the elves with Santa Claus at the mall, they start fearing just, I don't know if anyone's scared of little people. I think that's the politically correct term. Shout out Tyrion Lannister. So we're back up on the clock here. Could go wide receiver, could go running back. We still don't have a tight end, and we take Jake Ferguson so often, but it's because he really is the answer. When you don't get one of those elite tight ends, there to me feels like a pretty staunch fall off after Jake Ferguson, but it feels like nowadays you kind of have to draft Jake Ferguson in the 7th round, and if you wait until the 8th round, he's probably going to get picked from you. Now, what we're going to do here is take him, but I will acknowledge, hey, if Jake Ferguson was not here, we would have taken Ladd McConkey for the upside of a rookie wide receiver on an offense that sure isn't going to pass the ball at a super high rate. Sure, probably won't even be very fucking good at all, but Ladd McConkey being the number 1 target potentially on a Justin Herbert, the pervert offense, pays dividends. So we're going to go Jake Ferguson there. Again, some people might say, Nick, that's a slight reach. FantasyPros is telling us he would have been available at your next pick. Probably because I guess technically they already have a tight end. But the thing is, once you get into this range, you kind of never know with your league mates, right? Someone could draft Trey McBride in the 5th round and then draft another tight end in the 8th round. Someone could draft Josh Allen in the 3rd round and then draft another quarterback in the 8th round. Assuming that your league mates are smart, that wouldn't happen. But assuming that your league mates are smart is also a fucking stupid decision because a lot of the time your league mates can't even count past 100. So Devin Singletary Eckler, Moss, Chase Brown, best running backs available. Look at that wide receiver. The Lad is still available. So the question is, can we handle the potential swang at running back, which is going to probably lead us to our running back 3 being a guy like Rico Dowdle, who I like, but again, I wouldn't love him being my running back 3 when Najee's the running back 2. Or do we just take Ladd McConkey? I'm going to take a running back because, again, I don't want to feel like a puppet here and get a fist shoved up my ass, so I'm not going to draft a receiver here, even though I like Ladd McConkey, and then miss out on one of these running backs. I like Zach Moss a ton. Now, the question between him and Chase Brown, I guess it really is a coin flip. I think Moss will start off being the guy, and if he's able to fend off Chase Brown, he will be very valuable in the 9th round, because whoever ends up being the lead running back on the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that had the corpse of, it was like the weekend at Bernie's, right? The corpse of Joe Mixon putting up points, then you're probably going to be pretty good if you're Zach Moss, who's putting up numbies with the Indianapolis Colts. After Zach Moss, Ladd McConkey, Ravens, Dallas Cowboys, Austin Eckler, Jordan Addison-Ray, Ezekiel Elliott, the New York Jumbo Jets, Hollywood Brown, 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, Devin Singletary, Pittsburgh Steelers defense, Jameson Williams, Blake Corum, Jerome Ford, F-150, Tyler Lockett in my pocket. Skirt, Brian Thomas, Gus Edwards, Chase Brown, Jerry Jeudy, and Jacoby Myers. I don't know why anyone is still drafting Jerry Jeudy in the Lord's year of 2024. We've drafted Jerry Jeudy when he was the #1 wide receiver in Denver, and it never worked. So now you think when Massage Man Watson has him as your wide receiver too, he's going to magically pay off. Okay, buddy, that ain't gonna work. Other bad picks here, just the defenses. Don't take a defense until the last round of the 2nd round. If you really want to pop off and get the defense, lock yourself in with that defense with the upside of week 1 and week 2, then draft them in round 13. But even then, I think that's a little bit of a reach. You should be drafting your kicker and your defense with your last 2 picks. Back up on the clock here, and I am going to go ahead and go wide receiver here because I know you might just get hit with Rico McMillan will fall back to me. So the question here is between Joshua Dobbs, Romeo Dobbs, or Joshua Dobbs. That's the fucking quarterback. Joshua Palmer, Romeo Dobbs, Mike Williams, Josh Downs, Jahan Dotson. Now, Mike Williams' ADP might be buried. Let's see what his ADP is over here on ESPN. His ADP is pick 139, so we might be able to get him by the time things swing back to us. Potentially in the 12th round, right? Because we make these 2 picks so quickly back and forth. But I think the play here would be to just go ahead and take the guy we want the most, which would be Mike Williams. Now, I fully understand that on paper, like, Mike Williams is kind of injury prone. Now, he's not as injury prone as people believe him to be because people think this guy just barely has ever played any games in his career, when in reality, he played 10, 16, 15, 15, 16, 13, and 3. Obviously, playing 3 games last season, 13 the year prior isn't the best, but he tore his ACL early on in the process. Not like he tore his ACL week 15 or 14, right, where you'd start to panic. Seems like he's going to be back at practice soon. The guy scored 16 fantasy points against the Titans, 25 fantasy points against the Vikings. I get, like, maybe Rodgers isn't himself, and having Herbert would have been a better scenario for him. But I just want to take the upside on a guy who's my wide receiver 5 that I think could be a legitimate flex option every single fucking game with Aaron Rodgers, and I think could even be considered as like a top 24 guy. Again, it's risky. He's coming off of an injury. He's also Mike Williams, who is notoriously injured, but I am a huge fan of him, and I'm going to take him here and pray to the gods above that Rico Dowdle falls back to us, and he does. Curtis Samuel and Freddie Benson's brother, Trey Benson, coming off of the board before me. Charbonnet currently banged up. Undisclosed tightness. What does that mean? But Zach Charbonnet, look, I like him. I think he might actually be better than Kenneth Walker, but everything that the team has talked about really centers around that Walker is their guy. Now, I have been far from a Walker guy, but I moved him up my rankings recently. Now, I'm not ready to full-on fucking bang the drum, top 12 running back, this, that, and the other thing, like some other analysts might be doing. And again, it's not like I think any analyst that says certain things are fucking stupid, right? I hope you don't take that away from my videos, but I think Zach Charbonnet might be, as the kids would say, cooked. So what to take, you might just get hit with the Rico Dowdle. This is a dude that could be the #1 back on the Dallas Cowboys very shortly into the season. Now, knowing how Fat Mike McCarthy, the Kool-Aid man, operates this offense, like maybe Rico Dowdle never becomes relevant at all, and Fat Zeke is just running out there at 2 miles an hour, fucking waddling his way down the field. Maybe that is what happens, but to me, the upside of Rico Dowdle in the 11th round is very, very, very significant. I get he doesn't have like a laundry list or CVS receipt of stats in his whole career where he's having all these huge games, but I saw what I saw last season. I've seen what I've seen at points, seen what I've seen at training camp, and that Zeke running like he's stuck in quicksand, and Rico Dowdle running like a kid running to go grab his iPad, right? He's running at some insane speed. After Rico Dowdle, Brock Bowers, Darnell, here comes the Mooney, Rashid Shaheed, New Orleans Saints, David Njoku, J.K. Dobbins, Zach Charbonnet, Caleb Williams, Adam Thielen, the guy you'd want to date your daughter or your sister, I guess. I don't know. What is that old school joke? You know, Adam Thielen, he's a real lunch pail type of guy. Tyler Algier, Kendre Miller, Dallas Goedert, Khalil Shakira, Ty Chandler, Jaden Stormy Daniels, Detroit Lions defense, Xavier Somebody touching my leggett, Antonio Gibson, the Mario Douglas, and Chuba Hubbard back up here. Got to go wide receiver. We already have Richardson. We already have Jake Ferguson, so we're not going to be taking another quarterback or a tight end. Joshua Palmer falls to us here, so he's kind of just obviously the pick here. This is the guy that also could be the #1 wide receiver on the Los Angeles Chargers. I get it. Chargers run heavy team. I get it. The offensive scheme wants them to run the ball. I get Joshua Palmer is no Randy Moss. He might not even be better than Ladd McConkey, but we've seen Joshua Palmer produce when Keenan Allen and Mike Williams were injured last year. So we've seen him play at the NFL level, and at the very least, he's the #2 wide receiver. So even then, with like the 12th round pick, he feels fine. Again, he's my wide receiver 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't really feel all that bad about that. After we went with Joshua Palmer, Romeo Doubs, Marshawn Lloyd, and we're back up. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 running backs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 receivers. So 5 running backs, 6 receivers feels fair here. Now, if you are in a deeper league than this, if you have more than 5 bench spots, maybe you have 6 bench spots or 7 bench spots, I'm just going to list some other players that I would like here as you get deeper down the draft board. Jalen Wright has a lot of upside if something was to happen to Achane or to Raheem Mostert. Now, again, when you have Achane, I'm not going to look to handcuff my running back, but if you wanted to do that, that would be fine. I think Khalil Herbert has some solid upside as the #2 behind DeAndre Swift, especially since I don't even have full confidence that DeAndre Swift is clearly the #1 running back on this team. Bucky Irving and Braylon Allen seem like the clear handcuffs in their scenarios in both Tampa Bay and New York with the Jets. Now, I kind of do like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but it seems like we might end up dealing with CH getting cut or just not really being the guy. Been some hype about Jamal Williams in New Orleans, seeing some touches, so he could be a solid late round selection here. I wish Keaton Mitchell was healthy because he would be a great handcuff for Derrick Henry. I like Tyrone Tracy a lot. I like Dylan Laub a lot for the Las Vegas Raiders. I think he's better than Alexander Madison. At wide receiver, if you're looking for some deep cuts, I like Polk. I like Wan'Dale Robinson. I will always have a deep spot in my heart for Rashad Bateman. Rashad Master Bateman, he's failed me a million times in a row. Let's see how long this guy has been in the league for, because I don't want to say the wrong yeah, he's been in the league for 3 years. This motherfucker has broke my heart every single year, but I'm coming back again, baby. I'm diving back into the Rashad Bateman bandwagon, and it's not going to work out, but it's okay. I did like Demarcus Robinson until this other guy on the team, whose name is escaping me off the top of my head, their other wide receiver. It wasn't 2 a.m. when I was recording this. I would know his name, but I used to like him. Now I don't. Quentin Johnston, people are going to buy into him because he made one cool catch in training camp, even though I think that footage is edited, because any real-life footage of Quentin Johnston catching the ball in an NFL jersey is just fake. Michael Wilson I like a ton as well. So this time we'll go with Michael Wilson, the #2 wide receiver on the Arizona Cardinals. That's actually what we would have done if we didn't need a running back, but we do want to get a running back with this pick. And we are going to go. I also like Jaleel McLaughlin if something was to happen to Javonte Williams. I think he's going to get some work as well, just normally. Probably not enough work for you to want to start him with Javonte, but you never know. So we're going to go with Jaleel McLaughlin. He was very talented last season. You could just see it when you were watching the games, even though the numbers didn't necessarily equal the look, right? Some guys, they might look good on the field, but they don't put up the numbers. But if you pass the eye test, in my opinion, that's at least worth a 13th round pick at the running back position. After Jaleel McLaughlin, Khalil Herbert, Jalen Wright, Ray Davis, Roshan Johnson, Bucky Irving, Braylon Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Tua Tagovailoa, the Kansas City Chiefs, Dameon Pierce, who is just dust. He does not look good anymore. I love Dameon Pierce, but he's not good anymore. TJ Hawkinson, JJ Taylor, from the fucking moon shot JJ Taylor, Jamar Jefferson, A.J. Dillon, Justin Tucker, Elijah Mitchell, Gabe Davis, Adonai Mitchell, Kirk Thuggins, and the Buffalo Bills. If you're in a deeper league and you want a quarterback in this range, if Goff's available, it's 100% Goff. If not, it's going to be Matthew Stafford or Trevor Lawrence, Baker, that kind of range. At tight end, if you want a tight end too, which I don't, I wouldn't be taking a tight end too if I drafted Jake Ferguson because I'm very confident in him. But if you wanted one, it would be Freiermuth, kind of like Komet, Otten, Fant, Musgrave, kind of in that order. But we're drafting a kicker and a defense here. So first, we're going to go with the kicker, Brandon Aubrey. You're just going to go best kicker available. And then for defense, you want to draft a defense going up against a not-so-hot opponent in week number 1. The actual ability of the defense doesn't really matter. Now, obviously, the perfect scenario, best-case scenario, the wet dream scenario is, oh, you got this great defense that's playing up against a not-so-hot opponent in week number 1. Now, again, sometimes we're just cherry-picking week 1. Like, there are situations where, hey, I think this team's going to live long and prosper. Shout out to Captain Spock. But at the end of the day, maybe they don't have a great week 1, right? Like the Falcons. I think the Falcons are going to be good. But against the Steelers in week 1, the Falcons might come out slow, right? I could see that happening. So that's kind of what we are looking at here. Fantasy Pros doesn't actually let you look at the matchup, but I will be posting a video on my channel very, very shortly telling you guys which defenses to be drafting for week 1. And sometimes you can even get lucky and they have a great week 2 matchup. After that, you drop them like it's hot if they have a hot match or a hard matchup, and then you pick up another defense. I make videos every single week on which defense to stream. So you got to make sure you're subscribed. You got to make sure you hit that like button as well. So based on the teams available here, we're going to go with the Bears going up against the Titans. While I actually do like the Titans' outlook on the season, I like the new coach that they brought in. I believe in Will Levis. But week 1, Bears defense, pretty solid, at least in terms of on paper. Pretty solid last season as well. So I'm going to go with the Bears here. Stream against the Titans. I do think the Titans are going to be a little bit of a sneaky team this year. Now, not really a team that really makes a crazy amount of noise, but a team that might be a little bit better than the casual fans might believe. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go with the Bears up against the Titans. Hope they come out a little bit slow, and then maybe they have a great rest of their season. Shout out to Willie Levis. 90 out of 100, an A-. In my opinion, this is a 100 out of 100. Anthony Richardson, Devon Achane, Najee Harris, Tyreek Hill, Drizzy, Drake, London, Jake Ferguson, Wiki, DJ Moore, Christian Kirk, Bears, Aubrey, Moss, Mike Dubb, Magic Mike Williams, Rico Dowdle, Joshua Palmer, and Jaleel McLaughlin. I will tell you right now, if I drafted this team with this setup in my at-home league, I would be ecstatic. I would be popping a chub underneath the desk drafting this. I would be so excited. This team is amazing. This team is a league winner. So thank you guys all so much for watching. If you ended up enjoying, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Check out one of the videos on your screen if you haven't seen them already. We'll be back later with another video. Love you guys all so much. Have a great one as always. Good boy.